What's going on, YouTube? Derbador Weldor here, coming at you with another video. So, everybody's been asking in the comments, what's your next welding machine? When are we going to find out? When are you getting it? Yada, yada, yada. Questions, questions, and questions, right? Well, today's the day. I got it a couple days ago. I've put it on the truck. I'll explain all of that. This really isn't a review of this welding machine. This is more of a first impressions. Straight out the box. I haven't had much time to use it except run it through and make sure all the functions on it work and whatnot. So here we go. So here it is, guys. My brand new Miller Bobcat 250. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, why'd you get the 250 instead of the 260? 260 is this year's model. It's got remote start and e-choke, and you know, I don't want that. My current philosophy with engine drive welders on my truck for right now, now that I have a couple basic ones, it's probably going to change, but the idea, my philosophy with the engine drive welders is I need them to be simple and rugged. I don't need electronics and remotes and things like that. I need it to work. My business is at a point, it's still in its infancy to a certain degree, that if one of these machines tanks, I can't just go get another one. So I need features that aren't going to tank, right? Well, I got this instead of a Trailblazer, because instead of having a digital interface, it has click, 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 click. You know, things that aren't going to break very easily. But it has almost all the features of a Trailblazer, except it's, you know, about 75 amps short of a Trailblazer. It has all the basic welding features. It doesn't have auto speed. It doesn't have arc reach, that's what it's called. And it doesn't have, you know, all the remote and the digital interface and, you know, all of that. But it has the features from the Trailblazer I want, which I want constant voltage. Right there, your constant voltage, right there. And it has one feature the Trailblazer doesn't, which is AC weld output. I don't know if I'd ever need it, but the kind of work I do, there's probably a chance I will run across magnetized steel, because I'm the guy who gets the weird stuff no one else wants. So I kind of like the idea of having AC as an option, and people have brought that out in the comments, and I've thought about it, and I've thought about it. I was like, you know what? Having AC as an option is a really good idea. I like that. So that's another good feature about this Bobcat 250 right here. Also, turn that on right there. When you go here, it has a built-in fuel gauge. The problem I had with the Champion Elite was when it was mounted in this truck, your fuel sight gauges are way back there on the side of the welder, so you couldn't tell how much fuel was in it, which wasn't a big deal. I mean, I always keep 5 gallons on the back of the truck, so it wasn't a big deal. It just kind of sucked because I couldn't tell, you know, did I fill it up yesterday? Do I need to fill it up before I go on this job? And it was hard to tell, and you know, it was always kind of a shot in the dark. So having that fuel gauge right there, that half sweep fuel gauge, is super awesome. Super awesome feature. One thing I don't like about this, and it is nitpicking, is instead of having the welding machine plug here, they got an idiot chart there that tells you stuff that if you have bought this machine, you should already know what that chart says. I mean, that should be basic memory. Instead, I got this 4-prong one that I have to buy an adapter to then plug in like my Millermatic 211 or 210 MP2. So, oh well. But I have the suitcase, and this has a, you know, constant voltage, so really the 210 MP and the 211 probably won't even live on the truck anymore now that I have the suitcase. And eventually I'm going to be getting a 30A spool gun and a 115A box. 115 WC, there we go, controller. So then I won't even need to have the any other welding machine on here except for the Bobcat. Everything will just run off of the Bobcat. People have said, I heard people when Instagram saw it first. So people on Instagram like, oh, you can AC TIG weld off of this thing. Yes, you can, but you still need a high frequency generator. This is still a sinusoidal wave device, or a sinusoidal wave machine. It's a transformer base, so it's sinusoidal waves, not square waves. So you need a high frequency generator to keep that arc going. And at this particular point in time, with the spool gun, I have very, very little use for AC TIG welding off of the welding machine. So I'll probably visit it in the future. I don't see myself visiting it now. And as you can see, I got plugged into my lead reels back here. We're going to go around, we'll take a look at the insides. And what's funny is, well, that's just like the Champion Elite on the inside. I bet you almost all these parts in here are the exact same parts. It's even made in the same freaking factory. Hello, kitty. It's made in the same freaking factory. So the only real difference I see is the fuel gauge right there. You can see the fuel gauge cinder unit right there on top of the tank down there. That's about it. Everything else looks the same, except it's pretty blue. And of course, just like Champion Elite, you open the top, service it here. Plain and simple. All the same stuff. Got all your maintenance instructions, things like that. Fuel, fill up, same spot. See, I try to, when I mount the machine, I did it like this, so I have room to take this back panel off and get to the battery if I need to. And you'll see how I remounted a Champion Elite here on the 350, that I did the same thing. And of course, I love the fact that when you're riding behind a truck, the Bobcat welder generator sticker is right there where you can see it above the box. Not intentional, it just so happened to be that way. So now you see we got the Hobart Champion Elite mounted on the F350, and let me tell y'all what, it looks so awesome on this truck. This truck looked so goofy with the 145 on it. It looks like a real welding rig now, and this truck can now act as a backup to my F-150. My F-150 really is my main truck, and this is my backup, and may eventually in the future be my main truck, but I don't see it happening. This is really going to be a heavy rig, long distance, crane, service type truck, and the F-150 is really going to be my main truck for probably forever. But as I was saying, mounted this with room back here, so if I need to get to the battery, undo the bolts and just pull this panel off, and there's access to get to the battery. And also that gives it breathing room, because remember how these front engine design Millers, because it's a Miller's made in the same, this is made in the same place as my Bobcat 250. It is basically the same thing as my Bobcat 250, except my Bobcat 250 has a bigger generator, constant voltage, and AC. This is just the Bobcat 250, completely defeatured with a smaller generator. But anyway, how this particular series works is it pulls air in through the front, and that air comes up and over everything and out the top. It's very, very efficient, but you have to have that space here too. So I give it some space for the air to make its way out as well, because this was butted up against this box right here. You know, just there's a potential for it to overheat. And I've heard people tell me that these, if you do get them in too tight a spot where they can't breathe, they will overheat because they are a completely enclosed case design. I see some service trucks run around, they actually have the doors off the side, like they remove the doors on the service, on their weld machine on their service truck, or they have like this panel removed, and they swear up and down it helps. My machines I've had no issues whatsoever with mine, but maybe these are newer models and they've since fixed some of the airflow problems. But super cool. Now because you can see the cool paint job I put on a Champion Elite and the cool Hobart sticker right there. It looks really slick and neat. Not the stupid white. I love Hobart, but the white just looks terrible. The blue makes all the difference right there. I tell you what, it makes all the difference. And blue and orange in this particular instance looks really good together. Alright, so some of y'all are probably asking, why Bobcat over Trailblazer, right? I touched on this earlier, but I'm going to go over this now. Why Bobcat over Trailblazer, right? It's big debate. Everybody says Trailblazer. And you have people that are like, Bobcat, there's no point. Trailblazer. I am not saying that there's no point. Trailblazer, I do believe the Trailblazer is a fantastic machine and really is the apex pinnacle of Miller technology. It is just right there. It is the top of the line when it comes to this size machine. I do not believe the Ranger GTX 330 is better than the Trailblazer. The specs prove it. The Trailblazer is better than the Lincoln Ranger 330 GTX. Sorry, my red dudes. I know you love your Lincolns. I love my Millers. You know, Ford, Chevy, Lincoln, Miller. You know, Ford, Dodge, Chevy, Dodge. You know, whatever. We can argue about this all day long. It changes nothing. The specs on this Bobcat 250 are better than the Lincoln Ranger 250, which is the non-digital Lincoln Ranger's the old 250 amp. Now it's been replaced by the 260 amp Lincoln Ranger GTX, which is all digital interface and everything like that. The only advantage it really does have is the direct connect spool gun. Disadvantage to the direct connect spool gun is you are stuck 15 feet away from the machine, and you have to then go and buy their $200 and $300 extension cords if you want to go any further away from the machine. So with the spool gun, so they kind of got you on that one. I sat down, I added up. I was like, well, dang, I may as well buy a Miller 30A spool gun, which you all know the Miller spool guns are far superior to the Lincoln spool guns, and a 115 WC well controller, and then all I have to do is buy long gas line and a longer gas line and a long 110 cord, and I just run it out there with my welding lead hooked into the back of it to wherever I need to go. But why Bobcat over Trailblazer? Let me tell y'all a story, alright? Made it a little sad. If you remember my video, Ironhide the welding truck, the guy Zeus who owned that, super fantastic dude. Truck, freaking awesome. The black F350 that had the Trailblazers on it and everything like that. Got into an accident. Truck is totaled. So that's moment of silence for Ironhide. Truck totaled. Gets the front end smacked. Basically, bam, sideswipes the front end of his truck. For whatever reason, the Trailblazer that was on the back of it gets messed up. Did not hit the bed where the Trailblazer was. It gets messed up. Somehow. He said he goes, well, if it does weird funky stuff, it throws error codes and all of that, and only happened after the accident. So, it's weird. Probably something in the computer boards. Because remember, a Trailblazer is a inverter engine drive welder. So, it's the pinnacle of technology, but there's a lot of small, tiny stuff to break. And when that small, tiny stuff breaks, poof, you know, stuff doesn't work anymore because one little thing breaks and the whole thing goes boom. So, Noah. And it's funny because these accidents happen only a week of each other. Buddy Noah. Y'all know Noah. He's on my channel all the time. If you're not subscribed to his channel, shame on you. Go subscribe to his channel. I will know. He gets into an accident. He gets rear-ended where his welding machine is. The skid that his welding machine is in gets smacked. And his Bobcat 250 still works. It's on his current truck right now. Works just fine. You'd never know it's been in an accident. The funny thing is about Zeus the Trailblazer, by looking at it, you'd never know it was in an accident. Turns on, you know, goes through everything, and then you go to weld fit, just starts going. So, that's odd. So, which machine is tougher and more robust? Weird. I think it's the Bobcat. Now you're gonna go, well, he got into an accident and got his truck freaking hit. Of course it's screwed up. And Noah's lucky his Bobcat didn't get screwed up. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I totally understand that. I'm not downplaying the Trailblazer at all. I'm not saying the Trailblazer is a piece of junk. I'm just saying, somebody rear ends me or hits this truck, and I need to, I need to still do a job. There's a much better chance I can pull this Bobcat off of my wrecked truck, stick it in the back of another truck, and go do that job versus a Trailblazer. So that's how I look at it. I'm not going to have the money to immediately turn around the next day and go buy another Trailblazer. I don't know of many people who do have that kind of money. Oh, now it's raining. It's raining sideways. It's raining sideways. I couldn't help it. Oh, I could not help that. But that's my logic on it. I see this Bobcat serving me much longer. And other thing is, I can fix this Bobcat out of warranty much easier than you can a Trailblazer. Trailblazer, lots of small components, computer boards, stuff like that. The computer boards are expensive. The small components are practically impossible to replace, etc., etc. And yes, Miller has a great warranty. They have probably the best warranty in the industry. But I'm not buying this for the warranty period. I'm buying this for 10 years. Yes, I make enough money I can buy a new engine drive every 2 years. That's the way I've pretty much looked at things. But what if something changes? What if the economy tanks? Or, a family member's health goes bad or something like that, And now I'm stuck with this machine for 10 years dealing with that particular incident or scenario. Or my health goes bad, but I still need to work, And I don't have money to buy a new engine drive every 2 years. This can be fixed out of warranty. The worst case scenario, about $800 is main control board on this. $800, I could have it switched out in about an hour. Trailblazer, your main board's about $1,800. That's one of the boards. That's $1,800. And yeah, I could probably in the Trailblazer change out that board too, but $800 versus $1,800, that's a $1,000 difference. And this pretty much has most of the same capability as the Trailblazer, except the 75 amp short, and it doesn't have your fancy features, doesn't have your arc reach, and it doesn't have your auto speed, but those aren't really necessary. So, and the way I look at it, the Bobcat is probably the best machine for me right now. Next 2 years, in 2 years I'll probably get a Trailblazer, because then I have this machine to fall back to, and this has most of the features Trailblazer does, so I'm not losing capability by falling back. That was one of the issues I was looking at. If I got a Trailblazer and used the Champion Elite as a fallback, if the Trailblazer broke, I fall back to Champion Elite, I lose 100 amps of capability. Yeah, I lose 100 amps of capability. I lose constant voltage, and which I'm gonna probably get very used to running suitcases and stuff like that, especially with the competitive group I'm in now. So this, for what I do, is the correct step. The price was unbeatable for what it is. Like I was saying, it's got the manual choke. It doesn't have the electric start or anything like that. It's like, oh, but you can save so much money with the electric start. I mean, I got a helper there. I mean, daggone, if I know I ain't gonna need the machine for the next 30 minutes, I'm like, hey, Perry, Matt, shut the welder off. What if you're 100 feet in the air? Well, Perry or Matt's on the ground anyway. Perry, Matt, someone, shut off the welder. What about remote? Perry, turn it up. No, turn it down. Give me next gear. Alright, I need wire mode now. I need stick mode. Yeah, I'm not saying that the remote is a bad thing. I would love to have a remote. I can like, push all these buttons and do whatever the heck I want to with my welding machine, right? It's freaking awesome. But realistically, I have a helper down there, and they know how to operate this, and I can just tell them, hey, do this, do that. I can shout to them. They're not up there with me normally, because I need them on the ground for, oh, I need more welding rods, or I need more wire. So, in that particular case, I was just going to throw a line down to them, then pull it up, and, okay, we're getting off track. Squirrel! But, yeah, initially, what do I think of this thing off the bat? It's freaking awesome. I love the way it runs wire. It runs wire just like if I was running wire off the wall. You can't tell the difference. It's fantastic. I haven't art gouged with it yet. I did some stick welding with it. Super smooth. I mean, right off the bat, it's not like the Champion Elite where it's really stiff right at first. It's smooth right off the bat. Super smooth right off the bat. Even the AC side is pretty good too. I'm not going to complain about the AC side either. So I haven't carbon art gouged with it yet. I haven't ran the high side yet, but running some 1/8 inch 7018s and some 332 6011s, that's pretty much what I run all the time anyway. And the E71 T11 Flux Core or Hobart Fab Shield 21B, running that, it just knocks it out the park. It's fantastic. And with the bigger generator in there, you hardly hear the engine. You go to run the wire, the Champion Elite would kind of go, buh. You know, you could hear it. It wasn't bad, like it was struggling, but you could hear it kind of bog a little bit. This right here, you run E71 T11 Flux Core, it doesn't bog at all. I mean, it was great. I was freaking 22 volts, so that'd be wire in the high range, right about at 7, which is pretty high for wire running the E71 T11, and it ran fantastic. It's 22 volts. That's 22 volts. That's right there. 22 volts. I was thinking dual shield. Dual shield, you hear it a little bit, but it's not that bad. I'm sure I'll hear it when I go to run the I go to run the 1/16 T8 flux core, but that's the next step, is getting that T8 flux core and running it. At that point, I'll be able to do a nice comprehensive review. But this is initial, right out the box. Out the box review. Not really, but this is the initial review. I love the color. I mean, come on, you can't argue with Miller Blue. We all know it looks fantastic, right? I've seen old Lincolns painted blue just because blue looks cooler. I've never seen a Miller painted red. So, ooh. But the digital fuel gauge is one of my favorite features. The Champion Elite 260 does have that. So that's a good thing for the Elite 260. It does have the digital fuel gauge, which for me, the digital fuel gauge is great. Like I was saying, I can't read in the side. On the Champion Elite, the way it sits on my F350, you can see the fuel sight very well. So there's no point. So, you know, I don't need the digital fuel gauge per se on that. You know, it'll still be a nice feature because that thing's not always entirely accurate. But everything on this is great. Like I said, my only real complaint right now is the fact that I have to have a plug adapter to plug in my welding machine, which is kind of, I feel like, an oversight on Miller's part, because it's like, what do you think people are plugging into their engine drive welder? Duh, it's their little machine. And I guess they did that so you could have 2 hots, a ground, and a neutral. I guess that's why they did that, so you can run your house off of it, or run a device that has a neutral. So I get that point too. Now it's starting to rain, and I'm going to have to cut the video. Not really cut it short because it's gone over. And it's a God telling me it's time to cut the video. Thank you guys for watching. You like this video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And check out all my other videos. I got all sorts of great stuff on the channel. Thank you guys, and you all have a fantastic day.